opens up, that voice, does it just take you there? And my favorite, I get crushes on lyrics, like lines from songs. And this morning I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing the Holy Scripture where I can't remember it now. I'm so moved by it. Like a scripture verse. That lyric just gets me every time. Would you breathe with me, please? Taking a deep breath and release. And again. And one more time. Thank you. I spoke at the Red Deer Church last week because I was up there and had them breathe with me. And I'm sure they were like, what is she making us do? But it's nice. It's a nice energy that is created there. So one of the things that's super important to me as a spiritual leader is to be authentic. I'm not one to stand up here and tell you that everything is 100% perfect all of the time, because let's face it, as we know after the past 24 hours, sometimes life is messy, and sometimes it's sad, and sometimes we get frustrated, and sometimes we get depressed. A perfect world exists because we live in it. We are spiritual beings, and yet our human experience sometimes doesn't appear so perfect. So for me to stand up here and be able to admit that seems to me far more authentic than pretending that everything's coming up roses all of the time, every time. And the truth is, everything does come up roses. Because we live in a universe that is always expanding and always growing and always expressing more of itself. It's the nature of the universe to be beautiful and love and joy and happiness. That's the nature of the universe. It's just that sometimes, in order to experience the beauty of the rose, we have to deal with the dirt and the fertilizer and the thorns. So all of that to tell you that I've been in a funk for a couple of weeks now. Nothing specific, nothing I can put my finger on, just a feeling of ennui. You know that word, ennui, just kind of low energy, like everything seems a bit efforting. And I could chalk it up to all kinds of external conditions. Mercury retrograde, hot weather, rain, politics, the state of the world, the full moon in the 7th house where Jupiter is conjunct with Uranus, and blah, 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 blah. But as with anything, this is what we learn. The reality is the cause of any sort of feeling of listlessness or low energy is not to be found out there. Always, 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 it's found in here first. And for some reason, I've just been a little off kilter. I've been a little authentic me, okay? I've been a little lazy in my spiritual practice. I'm shunning you. Unshun. Shun. Unshun. I'm a little lazy in my commitment to movement because, movement always makes you feel better. I haven't been as committed to getting my rest as I normally am. As a result, I've allowed outside influences, as they say in the 12 steps, persons, places, and things, right, to affect my internal peace of mind and my joy and my energy. And here's the thing that makes it so ironic, is that I know that this is a choice I'm making. I know that I am choosing to look at what's missing. I know that I'm choosing to focus on what I don't like as opposed to what I do like. I know that I'm choosing to compare my life with others and have it come up lacking. And I also know that I have tons of tools that are available to me to break me out of my funk, and for whatever reason, I'm choosing not to use them. Am I the Lone Ranger here? Okay. Now, maybe you don't believe me that things are a choice, but I have an example for you. Anyone who knows me knows that I really detest hot weather. I left Southern California to get away from 30 plus temperatures. So you can imagine my disgruntlement the other day when it was so hot. And I was like, I didn't sign up for this. It's not supposed to be 90 degrees Fahrenheit in Canada. Blah, 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 blah. Where on the other hand, there are tons of you crazy people who love it. Oh, it's so beautiful. I had a friend of mine say, it's going to be beautiful this week and it's going to be 29. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, at least it's not snowing and it doesn't last very long. So the question is, who's right? Who's right? It depends on the choice of the individual. It depends on the choice of the individual. Here's what our founder, Ernest Holmes, said to say about this. Man has self-choice, or he would not be a person. And having choice implies there must be more than one thing from which to choose. The very freedom with which he is endowed makes it possible for him to use that freedom, at least temporarily, in a way that will restrict him. Otherwise, he would not be free. In other words, we have free will, and free will can bind us. You understand what I'm saying here? So I think that I've been experiencing disgruntlement about the heat. It's all been about my choice. And I'm choosing to remain in it despite all the evidence that I have that I live this pretty terrific life. I find myself restricted by it. Is this making sense to anybody? Okay. And you may be feeling a little uncomfortable right now because nobody wants to hear your spiritual leader talk about being bummed out all the time. I'm not bummed out all the time, trust me. But you don't want to hear that the person who's supposed to help you, lift you out of it, is struggling, right? But I believe in being authentic, and I believe in letting you all know where it is that I am. And that's where I am. But the good news is I'm not going to stand up here and talk about how bummed out I am all the time. And so say yay. Okay? Because the universe always has a way of showing up and giving me what I need when I need it to remind me of what it is that I know. So I've shared in the past that, I like social media. I bet y'all never knew that. I like social media, and I belong to a lot of groups on Facebook, and, the groups and the people I follow and the people that I'm friends with, they're pretty like-minded, and they're super positive. So every day, there are memes, and there's articles, and there's videos that remind me of the truth if I choose to see it that way, if I choose to not forget what I know. So here I am the other day, and I'm scrolling through Facebook, and it's all kinds of pictures and sayings, and I'm going, yeah, whatever. And then I saw one that was not only visually stunning, but the sentiment hit me right between the eyes. If we do not feel grateful for what we already have, what makes us think we'd be happy with more? If we don't feel grateful for what we already have, what makes us think we'd be happy with more? In other words, if I am not approaching the good, appreciating the good that is already in my life, how can I possibly attract more good that I think that I need in order to be happy? You understand? We live in a world of an impartial law of cause and effect that is always in motion. So if my cause thought is that there isn't enough of whatever it is that I think that I'm lacking, then the law can't go, oh no, and turn it around to bring me more. Because my thoughts about lack are bringing more lack to me. My thoughts about not enough is bringing more feelings of being not enough. Conversely, if my thoughts are on celebrating the good that is all around me, then that's what I attract, because my thoughts are creative. Is this making sense? You with me? Okay, here's another Holmes quote. The power of choice with which man has been endowed is either his greatest blessing or his greatest curse. Properly understood, it can lift him to the heights. Misunderstood, it can drag him to the depths. He is free to choose anything which he wishes, but he must accept the responsibility for his choices, because inexorable law will create his experiences according to his choices. Everybody go like this. And wouldn't you know, ever since seeing that original quote with the deer, everything that has come across my Facebook page has been about gratitude. So it's like, okay, I get it. The most effective way out of my funk is gratitude. Hence today's talk title, which is In All Things, Give Thanks. In all things, give thanks. For the wonderful things and the mundane things and everything in between, because gratitude is our divine birthright. So let's make gratitude our default, not our last resort. Because if we do not feel grateful for what we already have, what makes us think we'd be happy with more? So everybody take a breath. Are you grateful for that breath that you just took? Yeah. Let's take another one and be grateful for it. Now, we all know techniques and tools for staying in touch with our gratitude. We have gratitude journals. We have affirmations. We've got things posted all over our house. One of the ways is expressing gratitude to other people. It lifts our energy that way. Another way is walking in nature. That's my favorite way, to just go there and just look at the buds on trees, right? Just anything to get that going. There's no shortage of books and YouTube videos and meditations and groups and websites and podcasts and sermons on the benefits of gratitude. It's kind of the in spiritual practice. Oprah made it cool, right? And there's good reason for it. Because even science is beginning to recognize that feeling and expressing gratitude helps to rewire the brain, not just the consciousness. There's two different things. Consciousness is that which thinks, and the brain is the organ that consciousness thinks through. Or, you understand what I'm saying here? Gratitude rewires the organ. It actually rewires the brain. Think about that. So what happens is that when the brain feels gratitude, I'm going to read this because it doesn't come naturally to me to just say this. That feels gratitude, the parts of the brain that are activated include both the ventral and the dorsal medial prefrontal cortex. Okay, that's this part. That's the part that is discerning, right? And these are the areas involved in feelings of interpersonal bonding, positive social interactions, and the ability to understand what other people are thinking and feeling. So these things are being stimulated. These are being stimulated when we feel gratitude. But there's more. Gratitude also has the capacity to increase important neurochemicals, such as the feel-good chemicals of dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Go like this. Wow. I know. All of this contributes to feelings of closeness and connection and happiness that comes from expressing and feeling gratitude. So then the question is, if it's so good for us and it feels so amazing, how come we sometimes forget? How come we fall asleep sometimes? I think the answer is actually just as simple as that. Sometimes we fall asleep. One of the analogies that I often use for explaining about consciousness is that when we go to bed at night, we're not aware of the moment that we fall asleep. 1 minute we're lying there, we're thinking, the next minute we're gone, right? And we only know that we've fallen asleep when we wake back up again. So I think what happened for me these past few weeks is that I let myself get emotionally and psychically exhausted. And I just fell asleep. And then I woke up again, and I realized that I'd been asleep. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the talk is that sometimes life is messy. Sometimes it's messy because the truth is, if we are having this human experience, which we are going to fall asleep sometime. We are going to forget. We are going to wallow. We're going to get upset. We're going to be human. But as we evolve, which is the whole point of why we're doing this stuff, is that those episodes of being asleep happen less often and they don't last as long. You with me? Those moments of being asleep happen less often and they don't last as long. And that is something to be grateful for. And then when it happens, and it will, we wake up, we give our head a shake. That's a uniquely Canadian term. Did you know that? We don't say that in the States, and I just love it. So we wake up, we give our head a shake, and we start again. But here's the really, really good news. That even though we've fallen asleep and we wake up again and we have to start again, we are not starting from the beginning. We're not starting back at square one. We are starting to where we have grown up to the time that we fell asleep. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Is that we're growing, and then, well, we don't go back here. We start from here again. We start from what we already know. We never have to go back to square one, because we are forever progressing upward, despite our occasional naps. So I would like to close with a beautiful prayer or a meditation that was actually written by one of the great minds of metaphysics, Louise Hay. You all familiar with Louise Hay? You Can Heal Your Life. In my early days, when I was asleep a lot, I had this prayer posted everywhere. I had a copy in my wallet. I had it on my mirror in my bathroom. I had it at my desk everywhere I could, because it reminded me of the truth. So you're probably going to want a copy of it, and guess what? I made copies of it for you. I know, so you can see Marquita afterwards and be grateful for that. I thought of it at the last minute last night, just before I fell asleep for real. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and begin to relax. For the next few moments, there's no place you need to be, nothing you need to be doing. Feel your chair supporting you. Put your focus on your breathing. And allow yourself to sink further. And listen to these words and use them as your own. Deep at the center of my being, there is an infinite well of gratitude. I now allow this gratitude to fill my heart, my body, my mind, my consciousness, my very being. This gratitude radiates out from me in all directions, touching everything in my world, and returns to me as more to be grateful for. The more gratitude I feel, the more I am aware that the supply is endless. The use of gratitude makes me feel good. It is an expression of my inner joy. It is a warm fuzzy in my life. I am grateful for myself and for my body. I am grateful for my ability to see and hear, feel and taste and touch. I am grateful for my home, and I take loving care of it. I am grateful for my family and friends, and I rejoice in their company. I am grateful for my work, and I give it my best at all times. I am grateful for my talents and abilities, and I continually express them in ways that are fulfilling. I am grateful for my income, and I know that I prosper wherever I turn. I am grateful for my past experiences, for I know that they are part of my soul's growth. I am grateful for all of nature, and I am respectful of every living thing. I am grateful for today, and I am grateful for the tomorrows to come. I am grateful for life, now and forevermore. And when you're ready, begin to become aware once again of the room, of the chair beneath you. Begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and look around the room and feel the energy that we have created from our collective consciousness of gratitude. I am so grateful to have you all be my touchstone in times when maybe I'm asleep. I love you, and so it is. Now, this song I did not dictate.